And that is super excellent. And all right, good. We've got a good crowd here today. This is excellent. Okay, so we'll give folks another couple seconds. Mark, I think we can go ahead and get the countdown in to start recording.
All right, we will start the recording in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Awesome, thank you. Hi everyone, welcome to the Add-ons monthly show and tell. This month is a little bit unusual. We had a big work week last week that a lot of folks were having a travel day for during our normally scheduled Add-on show and tell, so we moved it to this week, and in a couple of weeks we'll reconvene for the May show and tell. So thanks so much for joining. Let's go pop open the agenda really quickly and see what we've got today. I know we've got a lot of folks here in the room, so thanks everybody for joining, especially our two guests, Trishul and Axel. Super happy to have you with us today. So we're going to go ahead and get started with Luca. Luca, it looks like there's some upcoming WebEx CLI tool startup time improvements. So let me turn this over to you.
Great. So I'm just telling him on behalf of Rob that made the improvement. I helped just a bit to see where we could improve the startup more. So Rob filed it, and it was like WebEx is slow, even when you run -- version, that doesn't do really anything. So we looked into the performance data, and we learned that we were loading all the modules besides the command that is going to run by the user. So we improved that with minimal changes. And the nice thing is that besides improving WebEx tool itself, that is nice, we also improve the startup time from anyone that is using WebEx like a library. So that is also interesting, because there will be probably a VS Code plugin at some point that could get this improvement as well. So I pasted a screencast there. There is nothing special, just previews and after the cure. And the version is like taking 1/6 of the time it used to took, and also WebEx run is improved a lot. So thanks, Rob, for doing that.
Yay! Thanks, Rob. Any questions for Luca about the WebEx tool improvements? Any comments? Is anyone super stoked about this? I'm super stoked. Okay, cool. Well, I'm super stoked. So thank you so much for sharing that, Luca. That was awesome. Okay, next one up, we're actually going to turn it over to Axel. So Axel, tell us a little bit about the Thunderbird meetup that's happening.
Oh yeah, right. So just about me first. I'm also an add-ons author, but I'm mainly doing legacy add-ons, mainly for Thunderbird, and we're all very busy working on getting our stuff compatible with version 60, because as you probably all know, there is a release planned for the end of the month, Thunderbird 60, and that's an ESR release. So it's complete change of the code base. Everybody was on current version is 52.7, so it's probably going to be 52.8 in parallel with 60. Large change, and a lot of the changes from Quantum have flowed into the code base. Okay, so big change. So we're brainstorming ideas on how to present this. We've got a nice new theme. Couple of new features, and we're kind of brainstorming tonight on my YouTube channel, Thunderbird Daily, on a release video that for like general public consumption, that kind of just highlights the newest features. So if there's anybody who's interested in Thunderbird development, feel free to join. I added it to the agenda.
Super helpful. So yeah, so all of our Thunderbird users and developers out there, this sounds like a really great opportunity to go get more involved. So thanks for sharing that, Axel. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, next up on that list, we're going to turn over to Andrew Williamson. Andrew, tell us about
Hello.
themes.
Themes, my ongoing task for it seems forever, but hopefully getting close to the end. This bit I'm going to show you is the migration task, which will convert the lightweight themes personas into static themes. And I tested this earlier, so it should work, but it's a live demo, so you know things may happen. So let me just share my screen. Okay.
Oh my gosh, what is that theme? I need it.
Is Space Cats. I downloaded it off AMOPod. I was searching for cat because everyone likes cats. And it's one of, I think it's one of Madonna's themes, so
Oh, okay,
I
good.
borrowed it.
I was gonna say, why is this not a featured theme promoted to everyone? But okay.
It probably should do. But yeah, anyway. So I just downloaded it and submitted it to myself, to my own instance. So this is a persona. Everyone knows what personas are like. So
Yeah.
I'm now going to run a load of scripts.
Can you activate it?
And that should hopefully work. And if I hit refresh, it should actually now be a static theme. Well, yeah, it kind of is. The listing page obviously will look different because we haven't finished the front end work yet. But you can see a little preview what it will look like, which we generate. That preview might change as well, but that's what it currently looks like. It's migrated the tags, the category, the description, the name obviously, and the author. Because this is local Firefox, you can't install it because it's not signed in the right way, but if I download it, I already downloaded it, but I'll wipe over it. I download it and then go to Firefox, install it as a temporary add-on. Then it installs.
Nice. So that's
it.
So that's a web extension, is it?
Yes, yes. Static themes are yeah, type of web extension with a sort of special manifest property.
Nice.
Really basic. You can do more stuff with dynamic themes, which effectively are extensions. Do all this kind of thing dynamically, but you can't. Well, they don't work in the same way. So static themes are basically a direct replacement for personas.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going to do the conversion for.
That's awesome. Andrew, I had a question from Pam, one of the theme reviewers. Pam wanted to know in the preview view of the theme during the review process if they're going to be able to see the full image cleanly, so they can investigate any so that they can see details in the theme during review.
I did do the theme view a while ago. Assuming you haven't broken it since, I can probably show. Okay, all I'll have to do is resubmit it. 1 second. This is more things which are liable to go wrong because I haven't tested it, but we'll see.
Sorry. We could also do we can do this offline. I just wanted to ask while the question was still in my brain.
We're gonna find out. If it breaks, we'll abandon it. But if it all goes well, then
Okay.
okay. Some submissions, holidays, Space Cats 2. Okay, so that's submitted to the viewer tools. Space Cat 2. The viewer tools look like that. So yeah, it shows the preview that you saw in the thingy as well at the top, and also it shows all the images that make up the static theme below. So this one just got a single background theme because it's a simple migration, and it's got the same trick that the existing lightweight theme review tools use, where you can hover over the image and see all the detail if you need to see the detail. So yes, I guess to answer Pam's question.
That is phenomenal. Thank you so much. Yay, thank you.
Okay, sure. Okay, I own share now.
Yeah, sure. Does anyone have any questions for Andrew or comments? So based on what Jorge and I had been talking about, it sounds like the migration of lightweight themes, formerly known as personas, to static themes, which will soon just be known as themes. It sounds like that's set to happen in August. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, it should happen once the ESR Firefox 52 goes out of support, which I think is the end of August, like 28th of August. So it basically coincides with the same time of all the legacy extensions being deprecated.
Okay, cool. And then the static theme submission flow, that's going to go live much sooner.
Yes, but when exactly is up to Jorge and the front end work being finished.
Is there going to be a conversion utility or a cookbook for converting existing personas into the new format?
Well, I mean, everything listed on AMO, we will convert for them.
Oh, it's auto-converting, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, auto-converting, and you'll be able to download the file if you want to see how it's put together and sort of take it from there. It's pretty simple anyway. I mean, you can kind of look at the docs on MDM. But yeah, we will convert all the existing ones on AMO.
Awesome.
I guess the feature set is the same, is it? Pretty much.
There's more. I mean, the basic what we're doing for the conversion is converting one to the other. So the background theme is the background theme. The accent color and text color are the same.
Yeah.
But the specification for static themes is much more. You can style like the URL bar and the colors of the buttons. You can have multiple background images. It's tiled and.
Will it support? Just a hand grenade bomb. Will it support rounded tabs? I love rounded tabs. I just love them.
I don't think so, but
we're losing them on Thunderbird as well. I know it's heretic to ask the question, but I just don't like square tabs.
Well, I mean, there's like a team of people, like in one, I think some research group or something, that seems to be doing lots of customization in Firefox. So it may be added. I hope it doesn't add a static theme feature because we've already added way too much for the average theme artist, but maybe we'll get added as part of the dynamic theme API, which they can add more stuff for that as well.
Everything gets square. Thunderbird 60 has square tabs as well.
All right, well, super cool. Thanks so much for sharing that, Andrew, and thanks so much for helping me figure out timeline stuff. That's really great. Okay, our next show and tell is Stuart, so we're going to hand it over to Stuart.
Hey there. So this should be a pretty quick one. So the background to this was earlier this week, we had an issue where our front end, we had a bug in the front end which was causing the JS to blow up because the authors list was empty. For an add-on, and I was working with QA, Victor in the QA to figure out, help him test that on dev and stage, and the problem was that it was quite difficult to actually cause an add-on to not have any authors. We're still investigating how this comes about, and typically I would turn to something like Charles Web Debugging Proxy to do this kind of thing and like modify the response. And the trouble is that I'm probably one of about 3 people that like using that, and it's complicated and it can be like a pain to set up. So trying to get someone else to use that, it will just take a long time. So I just suddenly thought there are some abilities in web extensions to modify responses. So I looked on the web extension examples repo and found one of Andy's examples, which was basically how to modify a response to, in that case, it was just kind of replacing the word example with web extension example or something like that. So I took that and then just modified it to basically intercept the JSON response from the API. The hacky part of this was dealing with the streaming, so I just worked around that by basically grabbing the entire response before then throwing it back out, having made my modification. So I don't know if there's any tips on like better ways to handle that. I know there are some various libraries that are supposed to be able to handle like dealing with streaming JSON responses. So yeah, pretty straightforward. And so the end result is that if you go to AMO with this extension enabled on dev or stage, it just makes that authors list empty and then allowed us to see, yeah, the page isn't blowing up and going to a server error. So yeah, I just thought it was really great to be able to use web extensions for something like that. And that's it.
Very cool. Thanks, Stuart. Any questions for Stuart? Okay, yeah, good stuff. All right, so I'm up next. So I just wanted to give a quick plug for the Firefox Quantum Extensions Challenge. So it's a developer contest that we ran starting on March 15th. We've just now finished community voting, and we're getting ready to announce our winners next Tuesday, May 8th at 10 a.m. Pacific. We're going to have a fun little award ceremony hosted by Potch and Sierra, which should be a good time. So we'll reveal the winners. I just wanted to also plug this collection of all of the finalists. So we had 3 categories: dynamic themes, tab organizers and tab managers, and extensions for games and entertainment. So our judging panel selected about 4 to 5 extensions in each category as our finalists, and then those finalists went to a community vote. So you can actually view and install and test drive the finalists of the challenge from this collection. And I think there's some really great stuff in there. And I know Tim is on this call. Tim's got an extension on this list, which is pretty great. So I just wanted to give that a shout out. And there's some interesting stuff, particularly folks who have problems telling if they're on dev or production environments. Envify was a big surprise for me, that it just it will automatically like tell you when you're in like a staging environment. So maybe I'm the only one who has that problem, but it's pretty cool. So check them out. Big thanks to Mike Conca and Jorge, who served on the Extensions Challenge and also, who served on the judging panel. Thank you so much. You reviewed a ton of extensions. And thanks so much to Stuart, who actually ran our website that we built for the Extensions Challenge. So thank you so much, Stuart. You were super flexible and easy to work with about that. And the site looked beautiful and ran well. So thanks, everybody. And tune in next week, because I think it'll be good times.
And Mike for recording all those videos.
Yes, and Mike also did some really heavy lifting duty on recording videos that we're going to show at the award ceremony. So I encourage everyone to watch the award ceremony just for that. See what Mike has to say. It'll be good.
Calm down.
I refuse to calm down.
You haven't seen the videos. Let's lower the bar, maybe.
Okay, that's fair.
But it was my pleasure. The contest was great. We got some really good extensions. So yeah, it was definitely my pleasure to be part of the judging and do those videos. I think people will be very pleased with the winners when we announce them next Tuesday.
Awesome. And so Mark Streamer, Winnipeg Jets fan, how's it going with the tab hiding API?
So the tab hiding API should be landing in beta, hopefully. Share my screen. I'm realizing I should have picked longer videos here. So here I've got a bunch of tabs open. Can you guys see my share all right? Mm-hmm. So I've got a bunch of tabs open. 2 of them are playing audio. And I can go to this hide tab thing. I've got this extension installed. I'll hide everything else. And then I'm going to get a door hanger asking me if I want to keep this, and it's showing me where to find my hidden tabs. So I'll keep those hidden. And then now I get this hidden tabs section that shows me all my hidden tabs. And since one of them is a YouTube video that's currently playing audio, I can click on that and that'll bring it up really quickly. And that's about it. Hopefully if you close it, it'll tell you you got 12 tabs hidden, 10 or closing 12 tabs, even though it looks like I only have 2. There's 10 more hidden ones. So,
does it persist?
Sorry?
When you restart, does it persist?
It does.
The hidden tabs?
Yeah.
Cool.
So they
Nice.
persist.
Almost
and
like tab groups,
stay
just
hidden.
easier.
Yeah.
So almost like tab groups, just simpler.
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone's written tab groups extension yet, but it should enable someone to write one. So
yeah, definitely.
Hopefully we'll get tab groups back pretty soon.
It's a bit of conflict about tab groups as an interface, because I had it and I had tons of tabs, but you just forgot about like activating that other group and you just switched back to TabMix Plus. It's just easier because, you know, and then you just scroll stuff out of view and forgot about tabs that are way up top, you know. I don't know, there's just something about this additional overhead of having a separate GUI for some hidden tabs somewhere else. It's just one level too meta, if you know what I mean. I kind of like, I don't know, but you could probably compromise it if you were an add-on developer and do something like Chrome, you know, that where you have Chrome profiles. So you have a second window and that's your other group of tabs, and then you have a third window and that's your other group of tabs. You could probably use the API cleverly like that, and just add a label, you know. Then you have like different windows and they represent those groups of tabs. Just an idea. That should be possible with that API, right? Something like that.
The hidden tabs are tied to a specific window,
Right.
but an extension could move them to another window.
Yeah.
So you could like send a tab to a certain group, and then it could make sure those groups are always in the same window.
It's kind of cool. Yeah. Because then you could pretend, you know, I like the Chrome had, you know, profile 1, profile 2, profile 3. You know, you have like 3 different views of tabs, and that would be very useful, I think, for Firefox.
Mm-hmm. And Tim just linked me to Panorama View, which is an add-on that adds tab groups using this API. So today on Nightly, you need to flip a pref. I'll put it in the document, but it should become default soon.
Yeah, there are a lot of tab management and organization, session managers, those kind of things that I think are going to want to update and include tab hiding as part of their offering, because it really does enable a lot of cool functionality for tab management, including tab groups and things like that. So I think it's going to be extremely popular with developers once it hits release.
Sorry, I zoned out there. Was that somebody asked me if there were any Star Wars add-ons on AMO, and I was like, I'm sure there are, and then I completely lost track of the conversation. Okay, were there any more questions or comments about the tab hiding API? Congratulations, Mark. This sounds really awesome, and it sounds like it's being done in a way that is helpful for users so they don't lose their hidden tabs. So that sounds like a really great win for everybody. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right, and then we're going to turn to Shivam. Shivam, are you with Trishul right now? Oh, did we lose Trishul?
Yeah, I don't know. He's connecting probably.
Okay. Well, we can take a look. Unless anybody, if anybody else has something that they'd like to throw in the agenda, we can circle back, or we can just go take a look. Let me ask that first. Does anyone else have anything that they'd like to share today at Show and Tell?
I'm not sure. It's not anything about Show and Tell, but I have a query about something. So is it the right?
I think I might have something as well. Sorry.
Okay.
So,
I might have something.
Here's the thing. Like in July, I will be speaking at Odessa.js and Scotland.js regarding cross-browser extensions. So in my previous talks, I had one consistent questions like add-ons are pretty powerful using web request APIs and all those things. So the security aspect is pretty problematic for everyone. Like this is the common question I get from everyone. Like how do we ensure like add-ons are not being used for malicious purpose? So one consistent answer I give is like we have add-on reviewers who check the functionality and all the aspects of the add-ons. So do we have anything else to add to it, the security aspect of the browser extension development?
Well, every extension does require that the user grant permissions for all the API that are used. So we do have the permission system. We also show door hangers like Mark just showed for what we consider the more important things. So when you override the home page, when you override the new tab page, when an extension first hides a tab based on Mark's new tab hiding API, we show an explicit door hanger that says, hey, this ain't just this, are you sure that's what you wanted, yes or no? Also, if you go to About Preferences, if a new tab is overridden, if certain properties are overridden, you will see something in the About Preferences page that says an extension is controlling this aspect of your settings right now. One, to let the user know, and then we also show a disable button in most cases that'll let you disable that extension. So I think there's multiple layers of security, not necessarily in the development process. The review is kind of the first step, but once an extension gets out into the wild, we have multiple layers that would help users understand if an extension is misbehaving and give them ways to identify that extension.
Actually, that helps. I can put the screenshots of those door hangers in the slide, so it will be explaining much better. That'll help. Sounds cool. Thank you.
Okay. Very cool. All right, let's circle back. Unfortunately, it looks like Shivam might be struggling with connection. So sorry, Shivam. But let's take a look really quickly
I had something as well, if you like, but only if there's time, of course.
Yeah, let's take a look at Shivam's share, and then we'll come back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let's go take a look. It looks like he is submitting an extension that he built. Okay, so he's got a smart clock extension. Very cool. It looks like it replaces
I have installed it.
Cool.
Probably I can.
Yeah, Trishul, you want to provide some commentary on this?
So yeah, so this is pretty cool add-on Shivam has created. So it shows the timing according to the time zones. It shows weather, and it has many of the user selected options, and it totally beautifies your homepage experience, homepage and new tab experience. So that's like one of important things you have on your desktop. For example, the date, the time, and the weather report. So these are the three basic things which this add-on gives. So yeah, that's pretty much about this add-on. Anything at your homepage.
It replaces. What does it do? It replaces the homepage, is it?
Yeah, it replaces the homepage and the new tab.
Cool.
Okay.
Looks nice.
Yeah, nice,
and it's pretty clean. It's pretty clean.
Yeah, nicely done. Good job, Shivam. Very good. We'll circle back with that. All right, Axel, I think you had a question.
Yeah, it was just no, just more something on, like, I could present something as well if you want, but it's Thunderbird, so I don't know if Thunderbird add-ons are really like so interesting to you guys, you know, since it's more Firefox. But I've been developing add-ons for 9 years now, and they're very like deep, so they are still legacy, but we're obviously planning to incorporate web extensions into Thunderbird as well, which is probably going to land in maybe 60.1 or 60.2, hopefully. But until we're kind of able to write some prototypes there, it's all legacy add-ons. And what I wanted to announce was that I've just started monetizing my third add-on, which is kind of a tricky thing in Thunderbird because there's no advertisement, there's no like obviously no selling of data or anything, no opt-ins. I'm selling licenses directly, and so I followed the example of Ken James, who has a commercial add-on called Xquilla. And it's something that generally is difficult because you have to do the, you can use AMO as a marketing tool for, you know, pushing out updates, and that's about it. You cannot you have to develop the payment and the license mechanism all on your own. It's not something that currently is supported by Mozilla, which is I think is a pity. But what we are seeing is that the deep add-ons, a lot of them have been abandoned, and my theory on is that it's very hard to not abandon an add-on and to always work for it on it for free, as in beer. People just walk away because they don't monetize. They can't monetize, and so there's a general observation that I have a kind of a really large staying power with my add-ons because I decided to monetize, and I think it's interesting to share the way that I monetize, and that's what I'm doing is I'm doing a yearly license model, which when you think about it is important because you can't really give a permanent license for a host that constantly changes and breaks. You know, if you give a permanent license, then there's an expectation that the add-on will work forever, which it can't if you don't keep writing maintenance code in order to stay in sync with the app, which evolves as we all know. So it's a little bit tricky because the transition towards web extensions is obviously something that's almost not financially viable with code bases of around 10 to 30,000 lines of code. But nevertheless, I'm very motivated on this, and I think that some of this experience should be shared with other add-ons authors in order to encourage them not just to write like quick prototypian small add-ons, but deep ones that persist over many years. As I said, I'm doing this for 9 years, and there is add-ons of mine that are used by my users over a decade. So they don't go away, you know. They keep being used, and I think that the general observation is that it would be good if there was something similar to a Google Play, a marketplace where people could commercialize their add-ons and so commit to a deeper experience, you know, a long-term commitment. Having said all this, I would like to. If you're interested, I would like to show you how I motivate my users to buy a license, what the licensing mechanism looks like, and I would invite you to maybe comment on that, because I've thought very long, very, very, very hard about how can you sell something that's also available in free, available for free as in beer. Any questions so far?
You know, I think a lot of developers are really interested in learning how to monetize their add-on. So I don't know, would you feel like, would you be interested in kind of writing a post on our discourse about how you've set up your licensing and like really explain your process and the licensing?
I could, yeah.
Yeah,
I could,
that would be,
I could.
Yeah, that would be great, because I think developers are watching that space, and so they'd be able to take a look and like see what you've done and like get into a conversation with you if they have any questions.
Yeah, that's great. I would be open. I mean, all all my extensions are 100% open source, so they're all on GitHub, and they can feel free to grab whatever code they like. But I did change. One of the big things that I did is what I did with all my add-ons when I, like my last one is Smart Template 4, which I just commercialized this month, just before Thunderbird 60. And it was really funny because I kind of pushed off making the final update to be compatible with Thunderbird 60, and I was kind of pushed, asked by a lot of beta users, when will you will you bring it out? You know, a lot of the normal users are not aware that all their add-ons will break once Thunderbird 60 is updated. You know, because there's a lot of changes. You know, and a lot of add-ons authors are just lazy. They don't like update their code. You know, they don't, or maybe they don't have that many beta users that use the betas. But anyway, I got sidetracked. Yeah, I could show you the UI aspect of it, as in how do I motivate people to buy a license, and also I want to add the proviso that I'm not currently forcing users to buy a license if they use my add-on. There's always a free version and then there's a premium version. So the model is freemium. You can use the standard version, which gives you kind of 95% of the functionality, and you can get a pro license, and that gives you an extra 5% of functionality, kind of premium functions, which motivates people and is kind of an incentive for people who gave me sometimes very large donations and didn't get anything back. So I thought, okay, that's great, you know. Then the other thinking about behind this is that when people pay you for something, you actually make much more sure about the quality. You will actually, because you know there is money behind it, and you take it seriously. You know, it's not like, oh, it's gonna break, it's free anyway. I'm gonna walk away. Okay, having said this, can I share my screen? I haven't used video before, so. I usually use Google Hangouts, but I can quickly show you the mechanism if you want. Start sharing, I think that's it, isn't it? I'll just share my main Thunderbird window. Please give me a shout if you can see it. Can you see it?
Okay.
Yeah? Okay. So the trick is that what I'm doing, okay, I'm kind of using the add-on update mechanism as my marketing tool, where I tell people, okay, look, there is a premium version, but that will motivate some people. You usually sell maybe 10 license, maybe 15 license every update you push out to people. Okay, obviously I don't want people's workflow to be impeded. I don't put up splash screens, next screens, or anything like that. But what I found a very good mechanism was to lead people into like a shopping experience of buying a license by giving them the option to use all premium features for free, and then popping up a notification. I'll show you this.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. If you can do that in about the next 5 minutes, that would be really great. We're gonna.
Yeah, I can.
I'll
do it. I'm going to show it. So what you do is you have a license. So quick filters is an example. So you can see that that's the this is the options dialog, and there is a pro tab, and at the as you can see, there's currently no license there. So and there's a little bit of a nag there in that there's a rotating icon which I remove if people buy this license. And if they use a pro feature, so let's say they use this alphabetical sort of like this toolbar is one part of the add-on. If they use this feature sorting the filters by alphabet, then they get this notification. Okay, now they can get rid of the notification, or they can buy a license. They can click this buy license button, and from there they are leaded into. sorry about that, my dogs. From there they can select one of the email addresses to bind the license to, and then click buy license link to be pops up in a browser tab to be directed to the store where they can obtain the license. Once they do that, they get the license key sent, and they go back into the options window. They paste the license key here, validate, and then all features are unlocked. And then after a period of 365 days, it will give them a reminder and say you can renew the license now. So that's all integrated. But I think that's interesting for you guys is that I have what I'm using is I'm using an RSA algorithm for encrypting the date and the email address of the person. I'm using the email address more or less as a placeholder for a GUID because it's unique. So I encrypt that with a secret key on my server, on my shop, and send them the encrypted key version. They can then, the validation is then simply decrypting with the public decryption key the license. So I give you, I just show you this on my.
Axel, we're actually running out of time, but I think we understand the theory. So if you want to expand on this in a discourse post
I would.
or on a blog post and share that would be great.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're actually
okay. Just 2 sentences.
No, so
okay,
we're
just
going
2
to wrap
sentences.
this up. We're going to wrap this up for today. So thanks so much, everybody, for joining, and we'll see you at the next show and tell. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.